Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna here. Basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation, basically, we are discussing one topic that is India account. In India account, basically, we are discussing one topic, and that is very dangerous topic. That how basically the 900 crore population basically of the world are getting controlled, because on the base of that only the world has created, na basically. On the base of that the world basically the future world basically has created, the future universe basically has created, that also you can say. If I say that basically this world, that 900 crore population basically they are creating some part of universe, then it would be correct or not basically, then it would be 100% correct basically. So the companies, each and every sectors basically who are connected with the public, they are actually creating the future universe. If I say this way, then also basically it would be 100% correct. So in previous video I had taken one example of Microsoft basically, that is the Bill Gates company basically. So he actually got one contract. In really basically it might be something else basically, it might be something thousand, not basically. Here basically I have taken one example that in Bangalore city, where currently basically the water crises are there basically. In Bangalore city, 1,000 buildings basically are there. This much basically simple thing basically, right? That that 1,000 buildings basically is in different areas basically. That up to that level basically we will talk. 1,000 buildings in different area. One is in Ramaji Nagar, one is in Rameshwar, one basically is near Majestic City, Majestic area. One is near bus stop, Majestic bus stop. Then basically one is near Rameshwaram Cafe. One basically is near Raman Infotech. One basically is near Cognizant Infotech. Like this, basically many Infotechs are also basically there. Like Pune basically. In Pune basically Hinjawadi Park basically is there, and near one Infotech Park is created that contains basically 2 to 3,000 buildings. Near that basically entire residence area is created basically. You will not believe it basically. So that basically here basically I am taking the example of Bangalore city. 1,000 cities basically are there. Sorry, 1,000 buildings basically are handled, and that 1,000 buildings are getting control on the base of Microsoft energy basically. And Microsoft is telling that basically we have 1 crore property, that is basically the human basically. They are actually giving you the data basically. So they all are experts basically. For example, in 1,000 buildings there are around 500 MBA people. 500 MBA people. MBA people means few basically are 250 people basically are studying, and 250 people basically are professional basically. Like this 250, like this 500 MBA groups are basically there. So he told that like this 500 MBA groups are getting energy from that 1 crore population of the Microsoft corporation. In 1 crore basically, here basically we have what taken. In MBA basically around 1 lakh people basically are giving the data to this 500 people. This is basically clear. So here basically one special group basically, one special person basically came, and he told that basically I actually whatever the energy basically I am getting basically from 500 basically, I basically want some different energy basically. So this connects to what basically? This connects to chaining system. That connects to C++ and C basically. There is one linked list concept basically. That is connecting here basically. Linked list. In linked list basically what happens? Blocks are there. Inside block basically the few address basically are there. And in address basically it's telling that in this address basically you will find the data. So it's connecting same way basically. It's connecting same way. Human basically 500 MBA people basically are there. They are basically reading the data. Reading the data means what? They are basically reading the books basically. That basically assume that basically there are 35 MBA books basically. He's reading. He read basically. he read it 500 times basically, 1000 times. At certain time basically, his body will attract that energy. So here basically one more scenario basically comes into the picture. One person basically is reading 1000 times. That time basically his energy gets attract, that is the MBA energy gets attracts to his body. One person is reading just 4 to 5 times. That MBA energy basically attracts to his, so this connects to services, that is basically called as a microservices, or basically you can say web services basically you can say, or basically you can say the .NET basically class concept is there basically. In class concept basically we are creating the object of the class, and we basically can create multiple objects of that particular class. So these objects basically are who? They are human basically. And class basically is what basically? That class is that MBA energy basically. And that MBA energy is created from what basically? That is from 1 crore people, sorry 1 crore population, and in 1 crore basically here we have taken as a 1 lakh people. So that 1 lakh people basically are giving energy to that 5000 buildings, and that 1000 buildings basically there are 500 MBA people, and the 500 MBA people basically are getting the data from that energy which is given by the 1 lakh people basically. So that 1 crore people is the energy of Microsoft, that is Bill Gates basically. So see the basically you can say investment basically. This actually Microsoft is doing the investment basically. Microsoft is doing the investment. So if anybody, any resources basically takes, any basically person takes Microsoft resources, then basically what is going to happen? Because he has spent how many money basically. So this connects to what basically? This connects to human resource chain basically. So one of the person told that the human resource basically are connected up to this level basically. You can't basically can't imagine basically. The human resource concept basically are connected to this basically. So one of the person told that the human resource project basically which is created basically by certain group basically, one human resource project, that means when the first time basically when the human resource project was created, that time basically he has not integrated this thing basically. So he have to integrate it, he need to integrate this topic also basically. Otherwise basically the fight will happen basically. Why you have taken my resource? Why you have taken my resource? Why you have taken my resource? And mara mari will happen basically. So you have to add this also basically. That is what? This chain basically. That Microsoft basically corporation is giving the energy to that 250 students basically, that are the MBA students. After that basically it's a Microsoft basically giving the energy. He has spent the data basically, he has spent the energy, he has spent the money basically, he has done the investment to this 250 people basically. And here basically the colleges are also basically connected. So 2-3 people basically done the investment basically. So you can just imagine basically the chaining concept basically. This is actually a big chain basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the world is created. So one of the person told the Microsoft, the corporation basically, that is the Microsoft corporation, Bill Gates company, they might be handling the resources like this way basically. Then when Microsoft basically corporation will watch this video, he will basically say that yes, basically we basically have like this, but we basically don't have up to the software level basically. We have not implemented in software basically. So that basically a good thing basically Sunil basically reminded us basically. So all basically software company basically are mostly like this only. This spends the money basically, they spends the energies, they spends the investment basically, they give the investment basically to the resources. Then they use also basically. If you are doing any investment basically, then basically they have to use also that resources, no, basically. Otherwise basically it will go to the charity trust basically. So that comes to the India account basically. And this connects to Microsoft account also. This connects to Capgemini account, Accenture account, Patni account, eClearX account. Like this, basically the chain connects. So Microsoft told that basically, Array, we have basically this many 250 MBA groups basically. These 250 groups basically, I have spent the energy, I have given the energy. And if you want more detail, basically you can say that basically this is the colleges basically where basically he has done the training, and this all was the power company, energy company, and the nuclear power company. And this group basically has given the data to us. So you can basically just what to say basically. The main data is MBA. MBA is MBA energy is basically used by Microsoft and that colleges. And that data basically is created from that 1 crore people basically. Sorry, that 1 lakh people. That 1 lakh people basically are connected. How basically? They are connected with the direct MBA energy. They basically can't direct connect. I will take one chain basically. Assume that basically MBA 35 books basically are there. So 35 books basically might be getting data from the main MBA. Assume that basically MBA energy has created from 1000 cities. 1000 city means few buildings, few areas, like this basically it has created. So Microsoft basically can't get data basically from directly from that 1000 cities. He might not be knowing that basically this energy basically I am getting basically. That way I am getting from that 1000 cities. And that basically 1000 city basically all are the areas basically. So this here basically the governments comes. That is basically the government data science projects basically. And government says that we are government basically. You are not a government. Microsoft, you are not a government. We are government. That basically the government is selling to the Bill Gates. That is Microsoft Corporation. Reason, when Microsoft is paying the tax amount, that is basically his tax amount to the government basically, that is the American government, because he is basically from America, American citizen. So he is basically paying the money to the American government basically. And if he say that basically I want to come to and to become Indian nationality, that is not possible. Otherwise basically the America will say that basically to India basically, why you have taken our resource. This comes to the human resource project basically. America basically will say why you have taken our resource. That type of thing basically also happen basically. So changing nationality is also basically one big headache. One person told that Sunil basically you are not getting anything basically in India. Then Sunil and I told you basically not basically. So why don't you change the nationality? That this time basically the government will say that basically okay basically we basically not paying basically you can change the resource basically. So that this type of scenario basically when comes, that time basically you can change the nationality. That time basically you have the proof also basically. You can display the proof to the other government also. Sorry, other nationality also. So here basically what we are discussing, because this everything is going to connect to earthquakes basically. Each and every earthquakes basically which comes in the environment basically, that all are connecting to this user stories. So here what was the topic? MBA energy basically, which is outside the 1000 buildings of the Bangalore city. They are basically getting data from where basically? They are getting data from the power company, energy company and nuclear power company. Nuclear power company, energy company and power company data are, that group basically are taking data from where? That 1000 cities. And that 1000 city, from where the data you have to take basically, that data basically to the nuclear power company and energy company, they gets data from the government basically. Government tells that basically we have, government knows this everything basically. Government knows this everything basically, which I am telling basically. It's not like that basically government don't know this everything. So government basically is telling that basically we basically have data basically. If you ask basically chief minister basically of Gujarat basically, where is the MBA 1000 cities basically, he will tell basically, I am telling you basically. He knows that basically. because he is a chief minister of Gujarat. And in Gujarat, basically, there are few buildings, basically, of the 1,000 buildings. Assume that basically there are 12 buildings. So from 1,000 building, 12 buildings basically are giving the data of MBA to the nuclear power company and energy company. And he's getting the income basically. If he's not getting income from this, from basically what to tell you. If he's not getting the income from MBA groups basically, then basically he can take the action basically, that basically why basically I am not getting the amount, that is the tax amount, because government only have the tax data. Why basically I am not getting the tax amount from this group? And here basically he is not supposed to go to each and every group basically. He will go to just one person basically, that is one group basically, who is actually handling this 12 buildings. So this comes to what basically? This comes to the tax management system basically. That up to this level basically the tax management group basically is thinking. That is basically the Indian government basically, who are sitting at Parliament House. But they are basically creating the creations basically. But thinking, that is basically done by the other departments of the governments. They basically never come in front of the world. And they know that basically this is the 12 buildings. So from 1,000 buildings, 12 buildings basically are, 12 buildings area basically are in Gujarat. So Gujarat will be responsible for these 12 buildings. Assume that basically these 12 buildings is assume that basically these 12 buildings basically are connected with hello. हाँ जी बोलिए. हाँ जी बोलिए. नहीं उस पर नहीं, मेरा सॉफ्टवेयर सॉफ्टवेयर ओके. आपको नंबर कहाँ से मिला? हाँ वहाँ से मिला. ठीक है. So one of the person told that government knows everything basically. So you can just imagine the process basically which SBI government is doing basically. So one of the person told that Microsoft basically is doing the investment of MBA for that 250 students basically, and that 250 students basically is of Microsoft Corporation basically, and they are connected up to this level basically. And government of Gujarat basically is telling that the 12 buildings basically which are basically near the Gandhinagar basically, just 2 days before basically where the earthquake basically came. So one of the person told that this was basically earthquake basically given by the government basically, or basically somebody basically given the earthquake to government, that basically my money basically I have invested this money basically, why you are not giving the money to me? That is basically the Indian businessman basically. One of the person to the Indian businessman have this many power basically, because powers basically are purchased on the base of money. So it might possible that earthquake basically which basically came just 1 day or 2 day before in Gujarat, that is assume that basically it came to 12 buildings, that is connecting to the recovery data of Businessmen are telling that basically why you are not giving money to us. And government basically, it might be possible that government basically might have done that earthquake, and government is telling that basically why you are not paying the tax amount to us. That is basically the 12 building group basically. That is the MBA group. So one of the person told that if one day basically the earthquake has happened, so it will come earthquake today also. Because earthquake chain says that basically it comes basically few days basically. So once the earthquake basically has generated to Gujarat, so today also basically mostly basically or basically day after tomorrow the earthquake basically is going to come. Why? Because it's a chain basically process. One person told that if I break, if I got the tax amount or basically the government basically which I have invested the money, government told that basically you take some amount from that GST amount. That is the 18 percentage basically which we are getting. We are giving something amount to you. So that time basically the government can break that chain. Assume that basically Indian businessmen basically who invested the money to that Gandhinagar, they got the amount. So is it possible basically? So one of the person told that also need to check basically whether the chain basically can break or not. Because if you are breaking the chain of the earthquake basically, is there any side effect of that particular chain? That is also there basically. That also you have to check basically. Because this type of thing basically in this world basically nothing, nobody has checked that basically. That basically the France group basically have to check. That is basically the earthquake system. In this basically France told that basically we will do up to the level basically of checking. Whatever checking basically we want to do. Because they also told that basically I also watched this video. So this comes to what? Experiment basically. And experiment basically when it comes, then basically you are not paying the amount, when basically you are not doing anything basically, then that time basically the expense when everything basically comes into the picture. So earthquake basically has came in Gujarat just one day or 2 days before basically, I don't know, just I will check it basically when the earthquake came into Gujarat. I will just check it now, just a minute. That was basically I think 9th of April. 9th of April, that means today is 10th of April. So just one day before the earthquake has came. So one of the person told that this is actually one chain basically of the earthquake, and this is not going to break or basically going to break. That also basically is one of the experiment. So one of the person told that just now basically 9th April basically time exactly don't know basically, just a minute I will check the time also when basically basically got the earthquake. It was basically night basically. That is basically the 9 o'clock PM basically, not AM basically. And currently it's 10:18 AM. 10th April 2024. So one other person told that if basically once upon you basically have fired Gujarat, that means the chain has already generated of the Gujarat basically. So this was done by whom basically? Or basically it is a AI basically which has implemented. That is also a question basically. It might possible that something new technology basically might have implemented in the environment, which connects automatically everything basically, which connects to automatically. Why basically? One person told that if anybody is trying to kill you, so you are going to tell that basically kill me. No, basically you will try to save yourself basically. In that basically government rule says that you can finish the whole world also by saving yourself. Because rules is telling that basically you can kill the whole world also to save yourself. That government rule says that. In defense of you, somebody is trying to kill you, assume that basically one software company is not giving you job. You are applying, but they are not giving. So what is that? That means they are trying to kill you. So here basically we are not talking about that topic basically. Here just I am giving the example basically. Here the topic is what? MBA. Microsoft Corporation, that is Bill Gates, is telling that basically these 250 are our resources. You basically can't touch our resources. If anybody is touching, then basically it will create to mara mari basically. The blood will come basically. This type of user story basically has generated. One of the person told that where this user story was generated. Where was that user story which was generated? So this user story also generated. So that is also going to connect to earthquakes. So one of the person told that yes, basically that is also going to connect to earthquakes. Not earthquake, earthquakes. Because each earthquake, just now basically the earthquake basically which came to Gujarat, that basically has came from other country basically. You will not believe this basically. For example, the Japan earthquake basically came. It might possible that was chained by from Japan to Gujarat. And from Gujarat basically it has transferred to some other country basically. There the magnitude basically might be some totally different basically. So this connects to earthquake chain basically. So that basically comes to international government basically. That basically government is telling that we whole are one. So this is called government earthquakes chain. The businessman earthquakes chain. The software professionals earthquakes chain. So this whole chain basically are ongoing in the environment. So currently basically which earthquake basically which has came to Gujarat, it might possible that the previous chain basically might be the of Japan basically, where basically 7.8 earthquake basically magnitude came. So that earthquake magnitude basically when it shifted to Gujarat, so next location was Gujarat. In Gujarat basically the magnitude was 3.2 or 3.3 basically. And that basically has transferred to some other state. So it will be India only, I am telling you basically. Previously it was Meghalaya, then basically Assam. So it might possible that the Assam chain basically which earthquake basically happened, it has connected to Japan basically. That is also possible. And then basically Japan to again basically to Gujarat. This connects to what basically? This connects to Indian origin basically, where the Indian nationality are still staying in USA, UK, Ireland, Italy. Still basically they are staying there. So one of the person told that if 35 crore people basically American, that is basically the Indian American basically, if they will come to India basically, then what are the situation basically? Currently basically the people basically are not getting the job, then what will be that situation basically? That is also there basically. So this is what basically? This is maramari of the resources basically. So Indian basically, the American basically government basically are telling that basically we have spent lots of amount to them basically. We basically can't give our resource. That basically are American resource basically, Indian American basically. That is the the American government are telling that basically. And they are telling that basically they are happy basically in their life basically. But by chance basically the war will start, the American government can give the security to that 35 crore people basically. That is not possible basically. Practically that is impossible that they can give the security to 35 crore Indian American. So war basically is, if war will start, then basically it will be very difficult to exit Indian American, because America basically will be busy in war basically. They will not exit Indian people basically. They will say that basically you die there basically. Because they are a very professional group basically. I will take one example of American professional group basically. Assume that basically one person basically is not getting job in India. He is basically software professional. He told that he complained to chief minister, he complained to prime minister, he basically complained to Supreme Court, he basically this, that, basically each and every area basically complained. He has done the complaint. Now basically what are the things basically going to happen? Anything is going to happen basically now. That he has done the complaint that basically I am not getting the job. So American government told that basically, sorry basically we are not responsible here because we are paying the money to you Indian government, sorry the Indian businessmen, and we are basically not directly connected with the Indian public basically. That basically your Indian businessmen basically are doing. That is the NRIs basically. Sorry, the software companies businessmen basically. That are the Accenture, Capgemini, Patni, eClearX. This group basically you are not giving them money. Sorry, they are not giving you money basically. Then that person told that no, basically they are not giving money. And this converted to world war basically. From that one resources basically. So American told that basically, sorry, basically we are not responsible for that world war. Just taking as an example basically, because this can convert to up to that level basically. That's why. So few people told that now basically it has converted to world war. Now basically what are the American people basically going to assume that basically America in this war basically the America also started having the war, and America told that we also have to jump into the war. So 35 crore Indian people basically who are in the America basically, they are going to shift or basically they are not going to shift. That is also question basically. Or basically it's like that basically they are also going to jump into war basically. Because Russia and America both basically are enemy. And Narendra Damodar Modi, that is the Indian Prime Minister, he is friend of Russia. So now here what is the thing basically going to happen? Here what is the thing basically going to happen basically? That is actually one good question basically. He basically can shift the 35 crore population basically of America basically, that are the Indian origin, can shift to India back basically, or basically they are going to die. Because when basically the war will start, that time basically America basically are not going to say that basically we are basically helpless basically, we will first exit Indian people basically, then basically we are going to start the war. That is not possible here basically. When the war has started, nobody is going to take care of yourself basically, because war has already started. This war basically was not supposed to start. This war basically was not supposed to start. That's why basically the lots of people say that peace group was supposed to play the most important role basically, but they have not done basically that. That is Bollywood group, Om Shanti Brahma Kumari groups, then the doctors group. They were supposed to do the peace basically. Why basically the war has started? Because situation has reached up to this level. Here basically the user stories are connected basically. Assume that basically Microsoft Bill Gates basically told that basically this is 250 is my resource, you basically can't take this resource to anyone, this resource basically you can't take it. If anybody takes that basically, then basically what are the things basically going to happen? That is also one situation basically. Now basically we are connecting to very dangerous topic, that is the chaining of the concept basically and chaining of the earthquakes. Assume that basically, I will take one example. Just 2 months before, one earthquake basically came to, I think, Meghalaya basically, Meghalaya or Himachal basically. I don't know exactly, don't remember the date. That is one thing basically. Now basically assume that basically Meghalaya basically has invested some money to 30 countries. So 30 country chain basically automatically generated. So Meghalaya earthquake basically started. So one person told that we want to clear up the Meghalaya data. One person basically of the tax department told that basically we want to clear up the, and the healthcare department basically, healthcare department are connected directly with the tax department. Healthcare department told that basically we want to clear up the data of the Meghalaya group. So Meghalaya group basically has invested to 30 countries. So whenever basically the earthquake is going to happen, first it will start from Meghalaya. Why? Because the healthcare department told that basically we want to clear up the data of Meghalaya. That is the healthcare department. So Meghalaya basically got 3.2 magnitude for earthquakes. Just see the calculation you see basically of the earthquakes magnitudes. And this connects up to the land basically. You will not believe this basically. That Meghalaya basically invested 30 country basically. They are giving the data to the Meghalaya in the form of energy. And due to that energy basically the land has created of Meghalaya. See the chaining of earthquakes basically. You will not believe this basically. Lots of people say that earthquake to aayega 2 दिन के बाद. This was in Hindi basically. In English basically, earthquake will come after 2 days basically. Earthquake will come after 2 days basically. So here basically, really basically it will not happen. But lots of people says that energy basically can generate. So few people told that basically this thing basically you are telling that basically this is against the government basically. But government is giving the earthquake na basically. Sometimes basically the government basically, so government basically can't do anything. One person basically if he can speak, then also basically government says that basically this is not good basically. Government can't do anything basically. Businessman basically can't do anything. The rich people basically can't do anything basically. Rich means government is rich people basically. In the power sense basically. I will take one, lots of people says basically, whether it is correct or not, I don't know. Sharad Pawar basically, the NCP leader basically. He is basically telling that basically to achieve the power basically, he can go up to the level basically. He basically has Hinjavadi power. Hinjavadi means you can just imagine basically up to what level the software companies are there basically. So that is power of NCP basically. Few people says that the Karnataka basically are very powerful basically, where basically the water crisis is ongoing basically, that Karnataka basically. They are telling that basically Bangalore is very powerful basically. But they are powerful basically in technology side. But currently basically 50% people basically are working from Uttar Pradesh, from Gujarat, from Meghalaya, from Assam basically, and 50% people, that is the local people basically, they are working from Bangalore. Where basically I have applied for the where I have applied long before basically for job also basically, and there basically I have not got the job basically. So that is one chain basically. So now basically see the earthquake chain basically will not believe. One person told that when that time basically Sunil Nair basically was giving the resume to e-clerks, Oracle, this, that basically, that time basically the chief minister was of BJP basically. And BJP group basically has not given the job. That time BJP group basically was there, who basically has not given the job basically to Sunil Nair basically. They told that basically we basically can't give the job to Sunil Nair basically. Just taking as an example, but really basically I had gone there basically and I have not got the job. But the earthquake chaining system basically, we are talking about that user story. So that time basically from Galaxy basically, few group basically saw Sunil Nair basically. Yeah, basically he is applying for job. He basically have good knowledge. Then also basically there's Bangalorean basically, that is basically the Karnataka people, and 25% people are Malayalis. They are not giving the job to Sunil Nair basically. The 25% Malayalis also basically not helped basically. And lots of Gujaratis are also basically there basically, where basically from Gujarat basically from Sunil Arnar basically from Gujarat, they also not helped basically Sunil Arnar. So here actually what happened basically, here the thing basically is happened of that chaining system basically, that is the Bangalore chaining system and Karnataka chaining system, Gujarat chaining system got connected. The user stories chaining system basically, that only I'm talking about. So one of the person told that, assume that basically Meghalaya basically got the earthquake. One healthcare department told that basically clear up the Meghalaya data. He just told this much basically. So the clear up department basically, they started, first they basically told that basically whatever the bad data basically are, that basically we need to clear up. So they told that basically we have to give the earthquake to Meghalaya first, because Meghalaya is telling that basically we have invested our money to 30 countries, and they are basically telling that basically we are basically responsible for your land creation. So whatever seasons basically which is getting controlled, and whatever the data basically which is getting to the human bodies, that is given by that 30 countries, and we have told that basically give that type of data to our human bodies. For example, Meghalaya's people basically in the right side ear basically, they are getting certain level of data. So they told that basically we have told that country to give that type of data. So he told that basically clear up the data. So he started giving the earthquakes. So the earthquake change started generating. It connected to 30 countries basically. Same way one of the person told that the Japan basically earthquake has came basically. That is also connected with some Indian state basically. And currently the chain has reached to Gujarat basically, just to 1 day before basically the earthquake of magnitude basically came of 3.5. So one person told that do we have the data chain basically. For example, the currently the earthquake basically which France, I am talking about the France group basically. This chain basically they don't have basically. I am telling you basically. France told that basically we basically don't have chain basically. So sorry about that basically. So there basically the error of France came into picture basically. This is error basically. And this is basically something new basically, which basically France group also basically might be listening after this video when they are going to watch this. Even basically the Indian government will say that basically, yeah, we also don't know that basically, that this is connected with some chain basically, user stories chain. So 1% of that Japan earthquake came, then basically the earthquake came to Gujarat, then basically after Gujarat basically where the earthquake chain is going to, the chain has already connected basically. So currently where basically that Gujarat earthquake chain is basically moving, can France tell this? France group told that basically. Sorry, we don't have the information. We actually not getting what actually you are telling basically. So you can just imagine basically. France basically tell that we basically are not getting Sunil, what actually you want to say basically. Then basically they started thinking very deeply basically, that Meghalaya land was created by that 30 country created the Meghalaya land. Then the healthcare department basically came into picture. This, that basically they started thinking basically. Then they thought that basically yes, here basically. So one of the person told that which user stories earthquake chain is ongoing currently. So where is the Gujarat earthquake chain basically, which has connected to which country basically now? It is going to connect back to Gujarat also basically. At when basically, that basically need to check. So that basically data who have basically, who is controlling India? That is by default everybody knows. ONGC was previously, IOC was there, AIMS Oxygen is there, Reliance is there, and IP share is there. They have this data. They told that basically France basically don't have, then basically how we can have basically. Sunil, basically you are telling that basically because we are reporting to France. So that was basically shocking answer basically. Government told that basically ये सब कुछ लगता है भगवान भरोसे ही चल रहा है. God is doing everything basically. God is telling that basically you don't worry, we are basically there. Because there is no answer of this basically. You will not believe it is basically. The earthquake chain basically which is ongoing basically. That's why basically I am telling you basically. Text box equal to 1,000 cities. Why basically he created 1,000 cities? Because he know everything basically. When basically he created text box equal to 1,000 cities, that time basically he know that basically that earthquake equal to, sorry, earthquake is going to come this to this 1,000 cities also. Earthquake is going to come basically. Earthquake is going to come basically. So one of the person told that, is there any chain basically currently in the environment basically? I will take one live example. Just a minute. Live example, that would be fine. Just a minute. Assume that basically some Mexico company, Philippines company, then sorry, not company basically, it's a country basically. So Spain basically is there, Italy is there basically. This all basically the earthquake has came basically. Then Sunil Larna told them basically yes, basically earthquake has came basically. So where basically these chains are connected here basically. One person told that can you please, one of the satellite person told that basically Sunil basically you are talking lots of basically you know these that basically you basically are telling that we have the Tata company basically, we have the eClarex company, we have the Capgemini, we have the Infosys, the big level of software company basically, but can your software company give this data? This was basically asked by the one of the satellite group basically. Then Sunil Larna basically told that which data basically. Then that satellite person told that this data that is currently basically, do you know basically in your software industry basically how many earthquake chain is currently ongoing? For that basically the Bollywood group have basically any data, because Bollywood group basically is tracking each and everything basically. Then one person told that basically Bollywood need to, because Bollywood group is taking 200-300 crore basically. Why they are taking it basically? This connect to Bollywood earthquake also, because they also don't have answer of this basically. Because TCS group, that is the Ratan Tata group basically, he asked the Bollywood group basically, you are basically handling I was just basically saw the video of Sunil Nair basically, he is telling that basically there is one earthquake chain basically which is ongoing of software industry basically. So you are handling that all the visualization basically. So you have the data basically. Because he is a peace person basically. He always ask in peace manner basically. You have the data of this everything, which Sunil Nair basically is telling that basically. He asked to the one of the number one producer and director basically. Because he himself is number one. Then that number one group basically told that sorry basically we actually what he is telling that also basically we are trying to understand. So here, satellite group told that basically, how basically your software company, you are telling that your software company is that, your software company have this project, that project. There was no answer basically. There was no answer basically. With Sunil Nair basically. Why? Because there was no project only basically created. There was no project created here basically for this basically. Just now basically the user story basically which we have generated. So you can just imagine basically here basically. So one of the person told that yes, yeah, basically this was basically very dangerous thing basically. Just now basically you told Sunil basically. Just now basically which you told, that was very dangerous thing basically which you told. Even basically the satellite group also told that basically yes, you have this project basically. Then Sunil Arna basically told that there is no project basically. Because this video basically watched by the software companies also. They asked the Bollywood group basically because they are paying money to the Bollywood group basically. That is 200, 300 crore from where they are getting basically this. So one of the person told that is the basically the Bollywood group basically is handling the software display purpose. Software display purpose means advertising of software industry basically. For example, currently basically with earthquake basically is ongoing of in the software industry energy. That is this earthquake basically. Just now basically it has came in Gujarat basically. That was connected with the software basically. And in that earthquake basically, which all software companies are involved, that basically detailed analysis basically government is going to government is telling that basically we are going to display in front of you basically. But this all data basically I am just telling it basically, but government basically can't do up to this level basically because they have not reached up to this level. Because France is telling that basically we know that basically earthquake is ongoing, but latest earthquake chain basically which is connected up to that level basically we have not tracked here basically. We just know that basically country earthquake is going, this earthquake is doing, that earthquake is going. So another person told that the software earthquake basically which is ongoing, software earthquake basically which is ongoing in the world basically, where is the latest earthquake basically which has reached? Where is the latest earthquake basically which has reached of the software energy basically? This is actually one chain basically, and this chain keeps on rotating basically. So one of the person told that this data, France is telling that basically we are number one in earthquake data basically. We are basically number one in giving the earthquake data. So they basically are telling that we have the biggest project of data science of the earthquake. So one person told that do basically the France have this data? Mostly basically they might not be having. They might be having they are basically expert, that I basically agree, in the earthquake side basically. But they have this data. They have this data basically. One of the person asked the question. Then France group basically was connected with few software companies basically. They told that basically up to what level data basically we are collecting here basically. Because this has reached to very dangerous thing basically. Because France is number one basically, who is telling that basically we are basically number one in giving the data to the world of earthquake basically. And this basically somebody has questioned us basically. Somebody questioned us basically. So do we have the answer of this basically? Do we have the answer of this? So for that basically they connected to few software companies. And they connected to why software companies? Because on the base of data only the earthquakes are coming. Example, Microsoft is telling that basically he have the data of that 1,000 buildings which is chained basically, and which is chained on the base, which is basically stable on the base of that 1 crore data, and that 1 crore resources are handled by that nuclear power company and energy company and power company. So this is one chain basically. That data basically he was talking about. France group basically. So he told that basically we have this data basically, but up to the detail level basically we are not, we basically has never segregated that currently basically which earthquake basically which is ongoing basically, that is ongoing on the software, which is ongoing of the businessmen, which is ongoing of the MBA groups, which is ongoing of the education sector, and which education sectors data basically which is ongoing, that basically we need to check basically. So that was basically very interesting thing also basically. France group also basically told that basically. After watching this video basically, that is the Sunil Arnayars. after watching of video of Sunil Arna. So France group also started telling that. France means one of the percentage who is actually France here. So France means this language basically I'm talking about. There is one song of France basically, just sing it.
Avoir de réflexes malheureux, il faut que tu m'expliques un peu mieux comment te dire adieu. Mon corps de silex vit de grand feu, ton cœur de pyrex résiste au feu. Je suis bien perplexe, je ne peux résoudre mes adieux. Sous aucun prétexte, je ne peux avoir de réflexes malheureux. Il faut.
So this was basically France. So they told that basically we need to check this data, Sunil. We'll get back to you soon basically. So that basically he basically not told to Sunil basically. He told to government, and government basically was asked by the Tata groups. Tata groups told that Tata basically groups told to Bollywood groups. Bollywood group basically told that basically we will ask the government basically, we are getting few things basically from government, and government told that basically we are getting data of the earthquake from France basically because we are paying money to France. In that basically how basically they track, because in India account basically they were paying money to the France, that paid this much amount to France so that basically they can give the earthquake data. And in that basically they have written that basically stable data generation, given this much money to stable data generation means earthquake is not coming basically, for that basically they have paid certain level of money basically. So you can just imagine the chaining system basically which is connected basically of the earthquakes. So one of the person told that this connects to actually professional level earthquakes, or basically it's connecting to the education level earthquakes. Then basically ask the question basically, the Gujarat basically which now basically they basically got the earthquake, that data of earthquake has reached to which country? Can you basically can give this answer basically? France told that basically we basically are tracking that basically, but exactly basically the Gujarat earthquake basically which is the Gujarat data of earthquake basically which has reached, that chain basically data has reached to where, which country, that basically we need to check here basically. But this is very interesting thing basically, just you told. So they basically started tracking earthquake data. They basically started tracking earthquake data. Hello. हेलो. हाँ जी बोलिए. No, that was just an inquiry basically. For PR, na, for PR purpose, na. No, basically currently I don't have the money. So I thought that basically if company can do the sponsorship, na, then no, I actually thought that company basically can give the sponsor. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So one of the person told that how the chaining system are connected basically. Earthquake chaining system. France group told that basically this earthquake basically which is ongoing, which basically has connected to the Gujarat basically, that has reached to where basically? Can basically France can give the answer basically? France told that basically he basically thought a little bit basically, actually what he is Sunil Arna basically, sorry not Sunil Arna basically, Indian government is asking basically, because Tata group basically asked the Indian government after watching this video basically, because Tata groups is Tata group basically, if they gets any single doubts basically, they basically immediately basically spends lots of money basically, because they want the answer basically. It might possible that one of the satellite group basically asked the Tata group basically, Tata basically where is basically your software earthquake basically is moving. Tata Group basically don't have the answer basically. There basically the entire Tata Group got affected basically, because that is affecting to the, because he is Indian nationality, so that will affect India land basically. That is going to affect to the India land. So for that, Tata Group basically spent lots of money to do the collect the data science project base. They basically started creating this data science project only basically, because they know that basically this will convert to one more project basically. So you can just imagine basically the chaining system which has connected. So France group told that basically we never basically thought this type of thing basically by the Indian government basically. Then basically they started tracking basically Indian government ko how basically they track, yeah basically, because in Indian government which kind of people basically are there, that basically we know that basically. Then they started debugging basically. Then they reached to this video basically. Then they told that basically there is one Sunil Nair basically in Vadodara city. He actually displayed this basically in front of the government. He was the reason basically. So they basically immediately contacting Sunil Nair basically. They told that kaha, where basically he's staying, this, that, basically each and everything basically. I'm just taking as an example, because this type of thing also basically can happen basically. They started debugging basically from where basically, because they are France basically, they can debug basically from where they got this question basically. Up to that level powerful they are basically. But instead of debugging this whole thing basically, they should debug this basically. What just now basically the Gujarat got the earthquake, where that Gujarat data basically, earthquake data has reached basically. Where is that earthquake data reached? Or basically they should debug that basically, somebody asked from satellite basically, what is the status of software earthquakes? Then Tata Group told that basically we basically not able to understand your question basically. What is the status of software earthquake? That means they want to say that basically where basically the software earthquake data has reached. Because just one day before the Gujarat got the earthquakes, so that was basically connected with some degree MBA earthquake basically, or basically it was connected to some software earthquake. So one of the person told that this was actually very dangerous thing basically, which they track basically, because France basically, they immediately tracks that from where Indian government got the question basically. Indian government actually got this question from where basically. They immediately track this video basically. By a video was uploaded by some Sunil Nair basically. We have to track that his house basically, where basically he is having these videos. But that France are basically sports person basically. Sports means they say that basically yes basically we basically don't have the answer basically. So we basically we will be trying to find that answer basically. That is France basically. Instead of India basically, if you will say that basically India basically you had done this wrong thing basically, then India will basically know everything. They basically pick up the guns and basically they say that basically why you ask this question basically. That is India basically. And France is totally opposite. They will try to solve that question's answer basically. So this is difference between India and France basically. They will sort out the problem basically. They will try to sort out the problem basically, instead of taking the guns. So that is the major difference between India and France. That's why they are France basically. That's why they are France. That's why they are France basically. So one of the person told that this is the France basically. So France told that basically that we are basically trying to categorize the earthquakes data. We will give you soon basically that where the software earthquake has reached. And second more question, that is where the Gujarat earthquakes basically has reached. That also we will give you the answer. And how many data basically was inside the Gujarat earthquake. That data also basically we are going to give to you basically.
If you already work with data in Excel and want to add more
So you can just imagine
to
basically.
our data analysis and evaluation using Python, then this is the course for you. Frank is a data scientist and he will teach you how to use Python to work with data.
So you can just imagine basically.
Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here we are discussing on the topic that is city creation. In city creation, basically we are discussing on the topic that.
So you can just imagine basically. The data science basically project. So if satellite groups anything basically ask, if you don't have the answer basically, that means satellite groups will tell that basically why basically the world exists here basically. That also they will say basically one day basically. So that's why basically Tata groups are very powerful. They spends crores of rupees basically in the data science basically. To find this question basically, they will spend crores of rupees to France basically. But France basically is telling that basically we basically have the answer, but we required some time to basically. But that time basically they don't have that data basically. That was category wise earthquake data. That where how what is the where basically the Gujarat earthquake basically has reached. The chain system basically. The earthquake is basically one chain system basically you can say. Earthquake is one chaining system. Gujarat earthquake came. Gujarat earthquake connected to which country basically, and that country basically which is that country, and from that country basically what is the next earthquake chain. After that basically what is the earthquake chain, and that earthquake basically which has came to Gujarat basically what is the purpose behind that earthquake basically. Up- what is the purpose behind that earthquake? Up to that level the data basically they are going to tell. I am telling you basically. France are up to that level basically. France are up to that level basically. They can give you the purpose also why that earthquake has came basically. So one of the person told that yes, yeah, basically that is France basically. And Tata groups are Tata groups. They spend hundreds of crores basically in this type of projects basically. Because if anybody asks from satellite basically, if they are not able to answer, that is going to affect to entire Tata groups basically, and that are basically 200-year-old Tata groups basically. That will affect that entire Tata groups business basically. Reason Tata groups are basically handling the entire software industry of India basically. And Tata groups are of Indian origin. They are basically in India land, and that is going to affect to India land basically. So India land basically will say that basically Tata group should be very powerful. So they keeps on giving questions. So this is also one of the question basically. And they basically ask the Indian government ask the France government track that basically this data basically, that is the question which was raised from this video basically. So you can just imagine basically the things basically which has connected. So here one of the question basically is the earthquake which basically comes to any of the city basically, that is connecting to the question, or basically that is the answer basically. That is also one question basically. Because whatever earthquake basically which comes that basically might be connected to some answer, or basically it might be connected to some question basically. That is one of the biggest topic basically. That is one of the topic basically of earthquakes. That is one of the topic basically of earthquakes. So one of the person told that it might be what basically, because for that basically, if it is an answer, so you should know the list of questions basically in the environment basically which is ongoing. And if it is a question basically, then basically you should know the list of answers, or basically the list of questions basically which is basically in the environment. That is also question. That is also question basically. So this is basically very dangerous topic basically. Earthquake basically is connecting to very dangerous thing basically, I am telling you. So one of the person told that the earthquake basically which just now basically the satellite group basically asked the question that where is the software earthquake basically reached. There is no answer basically. And where is this Gujarat basically, this now basically 2 days before the, sorry, 1 day before the Gujarat earthquake basically came, that data has reached to where basically. It has reached to Gandhinagar, it has reached to Bangalore, it has reached to Chennai, it has reached to Kerala, it has reached to Gujarat, it has reached to some Odisha. Where it has reached basically? Or basically it has reached to some other country. That is also question basically. Because this everything basically is connected to what basically? Is this connected to some question, or is it connected to some answer? For that basically you should have the list of questions and answer basically. You should have the answer basically. Or basically you should have the list of questions basically which is ongoing in the environment basically. That is the nuclear power company basically. Because they are telling that basically you are basically the human who can do this everything basically. You are the power basically. You are creating the future universe basically. For example, my marriage basically is not happened. So my future basically is what basically? Zero. I don't have any future. So my future basically is not connecting to universe basically. If I will be getting married, that time basically it is going to connect to future basically. That time basically it is going to connect to future basically. So the people basically who are married and that basically child happened, this, that basically each and everything. So they are basically connected to the future creation basically. But currently basically I am basically unmarried, so my future basically is not connected with the universe basically. Myself future is connected, but my next generation future is not connected. My next generation future is not connected to the universe. To the universe. So this is connected to what? Universe future. Each and everything basically which is ongoing, earthquakes basically, that are connected to the futures basically. That are connected to the futures. So here what was that two thing basically? One was the Gujarat earthquake basically just came 1 day before, and second earthquake basically was software industry earthquake basically data. Somebody asked from satellite that we want the software earthquake data where currently it is. So in detail basically we are going to talk about this topic in next video.